Welcome back to episode 2 of season 3 of the CEO podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. We are continuing on with our theme of taking amazing advice from season 1 and 2 and breaking it down a little bit in more easy to do steps here in season 3, quicker, more concise episodes, and bringing you really actionable things you can do and put in place in your business. So today's episode is called Building Energetic Boundaries. So you already put enough energy into your business. If you're an entrepreneur, you are putting 95% of your energy from your day, unless you're a parent, into your business. And if you're a parent, you're just you're going over that 100% and you're putting in so much of your day into your kids, your business, your life. But your business takes such a huge amount of energy already. You don't want it to draw on you for the wrong reasons. So that's what this episode is about. For me in interior design, I'm working in people's homes and I'm working in people's lives in a very personal way. So I'm helping them to pick things and to basically design how they're going to live the next 10, 15, 20 years of their life in their space. It's huge. It's very emotional. It's a massive investment in terms of finances for the homeowner, both for my services and for the renovation or the custom build, whatever they're doing. It's a huge thing. So for them, it's a very emotional process, and that can often be translated or put on to the designer or the contractor. And that's something that you really have to learn how to manage. So that can happen in any business. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's always going to be some kind of energetic transfer between you and your client. And what's important is that you're able to be authentic with them in the sense that you are hearing them and you are engaging with that, respecting that exchange of energy, but you also want to ensure that it is not eating away at your reserves. So that's really what this is about. And knowing that you don't have to spend any extra time or invest into what I would call an energy vampire. So if there's somebody in your life or in your business or a client or a vendor, whoever it might be, that you just feel is like draining you, those are things you need to pay attention to and identify. And if you can't cut them out, if you can't, say this isn't a good fit, or you can't move away from that situation, then you need to put boundaries in place. And these boundaries are great for those types of situations, but also just in general to have these to protect yourself. In today's world, with the onslaught of everything coming at us from social media, we're just so involved and there's so much stimulation constantly. This is a good practice to have just in general, just to keep yourself sane. So I hope today's episode will help you to put that in place. So how do we put these boundaries in place for protecting our energy and ensuring that we feel able to not be distracted by different people's vibes all day? So the first step is identifying what's yours and what's not. If you need a visual for it, take a look at you and your friend are out having coffee. Which coffee cup's yours? Which coffee cup is not? They're both cups of coffee. Maybe they're the same order, but one is yours and one is theirs. How this applies is we are not responsible for other people's interpretations of things. We are not responsible for the way people feel about things. We are not responsible for what other people put out to us, because that can come from so many different places. If somebody gives you attitude, somebody you don't know, let's say somebody gives you the finger while you're driving, that could have nothing to do with you. They could be having the worst day. So we really want to identify what is ours, what's coming from us and how we feel, and what's coming from the outside. What is an outside influence, whether that's coming from another person or it just has nothing to do with you. So you really want to be able to identify that. One way, if you're struggling with how to identify that, is to really just check in with your body. If somebody says something to you or gets, mad at you or gives you the finger while you're driving, just kind of sit with it for a second and go, did I warrant that response? Did I put something out to warrant getting whatever that was back? If it's yes, then cool, own it. If it's, I didn't do anything, I was going the speed limit, I was I slowed down because there was a pedestrian. I'm following the rules. I'm okay with the decisions I have made, not mine. Okay. That is how you identify what's yours and what's not. If you're having a hard time feeling that, start small. Start with people you know well, your spouse, your friends. If they kind of put something on you that you're like, no, hold on, that's not mine. Engage with it. Be like, I hear you, but that's not mine. Some people don't love that. I do it to my husband all the time. And, it's one of those things where he gets that now. And it's a good reflection for them too. So if you have that type of relationship where you can throw it back, it's great to do that because then they can start to look at what's theirs and it helps them move through whatever they're feeling as well. So just a little, you don't have to do that. What's most important is identifying what's yours. But if that's something you want to do to help those in your life that you love, have a little more insight, that's cool too. The second thing is putting systems in place to protect yourself, whether that's turning the notifications off on your phone on the weekend, time blocking so you don't look at emails all the time, or simply having an affirmation. I have an affirmation I use constantly that is, I release any energy that is not my own. I release any energy that is not my own. So if I'm feeling kind of weighed down and icky that day for some reason, and I'm like, I don't know where this is coming from, like kind of do a little check-in with my life. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's like glaring me in the face, like as a problem. Then I'm like, okay, did I kind of take that on from a client, from a friend? What is this? And so I just say it out loud. I release any energy that is not my own. So that is a little affirmation I do. Take it or leave it. So these systems to protect yourself. So basically where we encounter energy vampires a lot of the time in business is people that just aren't respecting our value and our time. That's where we see it the most often in business. So how we protect ourselves from that is putting those boundaries in place and being super clear about what those boundaries are. So for example, I have an automatic responder at 5 p.m. every day. If you email me or you text, I prefer no text at all in business, to be honest. I do with some clients, and it's really a trust thing at the beginning. I'll decide if I'm going to kind of cross that line or not. But that's a different story. So I have an autoresponder on my email. If you email me after 5 p.m., you get an email back that says you've emailed us outside of our business hours. If you're an existing client, I'll get back to you in this time frame. If you're a new client, I'll get back to you in this time frame. I set the expectation and I don't reply, because as soon as you break your own boundary, it's a free-for-all. So that's a good one. Turning off notifications just to keep your focus. And this is what I mean when I say you have to put these boundaries in place. And if you break them, you're inviting it in. You have to be the owner of your boundaries. Just like you're identifying what's yours and what's not, you're the one who makes the boundaries and enforces the boundaries. You can't expect anyone else to respect your boundaries if you don't respect them yourself. This was a lesson I had to learn because I used to complain to my friends and to my husband, I cannot believe this client is calling me on the weekend. Like, who do they think they are? Why are they calling me on a Saturday morning? Like, wait till Monday. It's not an emergency. He goes, do you answer the call? Well, yeah, they're calling me. Don't answer the call. Put in place your expectations and make it clear that those are your expectations and stick to it. That's number 2. So that's putting systems in place and respecting your own systems. There's going to be 1 or 2 times where there's an emergency and you have to answer. If your client calls you 6 times in a row on a Wednesday night and something's gone completely crazy, like there's always an exception to a rule, but for the most part, stick to your boundaries. And as soon as you do, people, if they break it once and you don't respond, they're usually people are smarter. You got to give them a little more credit. They'll understand. They're like, I mean, this is a terrible analogy, but train your clients, train them like a pet. Don't respond to them after hours and they'll stop texting you after hours. Because if they don't get what they're looking for, if they don't get a response, they'll stop trying. So that's number 2. And then number 3 kind of ties into this is be bold. Don't be afraid to state your boundaries and enforce them. It's your business. You don't want to be the person who's drained energetically constantly, because that is something that will affect everybody in your business. It's going to affect your team. It's going to affect your clients. If you have nothing left to give because you've just been pulled on and drained and have, asks coming out the wazoo and you just can't keep up because you have all of these imagine a bucket with a bunch of holes. Every time somebody asks something of you that is outside of what you're able to give them, or it's an extra ask, or it's a after hours ask, or whatever it might be, it's another hole in the bucket. So imagine trying to fill that bucket with the energy you have to bring into a day, and then all these little holes dripping out. Every single one of those might not seem like a big deal at the time, but it's going to take away from what that energy from going somewhere else. So let's use an example. If you've got a family at home and you've got clients that constantly want your attention in the evenings, but you really, really want to be spending that time with your family because you're working all day. Daytime is time for clients, evenings time for family. And that bucket you have is already, let's say, half full from just a regular day. And then you have all these little holes being poked in it in the night. And all of a sudden, that half bucket is just going down, 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 down so fast because all of those little holes are leaking. And now you have nothing left to give to your family. So you have to kind of figure out what it is that is important to you and where you want your energy to be focused, whether that's, you can give 100% in the daytime to your clients, but you have to keep a little for yourself, and you have to be able to ensure that that bucket is getting filled back up. So whether that is, spending time with family, working out, eating right, getting good sleep, anything that fills your bucket. So anything that makes you feel amazing, those are things you need to prioritize as well, because if there's nothing coming into the bucket, how the hell is anything supposed to go out? So that is the 3 tips I have for protecting your energy. So just to recap, identify what's yours and what's not, put systems in place, and then be bold about following those systems. I hope you guys liked this. Rate and review the podcast, please, and subscribe. If you have any questions you want addressed next season, this season we're totally focusing on this little recap and kind of breaking everything down. But next season, email askbsw@gmail.com, and we will address any questions you have in our next season. And hope you liked this one. I'll catch you next time. Bye.